you know, that's a very subjective question. I think the answer to that is really there are a lot of variables that we take under consideration, right? I mean, the impact of the crash, if it is even an auto accident, because it could be a slip and fall, right? And then there are different things that we look at.
Well, I think the primary aspect of it, you know, what's it worth, it comes down to two different branches, so to speak, the non-economic and the economic. You know, many times the car crashes, the economic damages are going to be work-related, perhaps property damage, but then you've got the non-economic, the more subjective ones, which are,
Right.
you know, how much are you injured, how long is that going to last, what are you going to need,
Yeah, the severity of the injuries, right?
future medical care.
And ultimately, every auto accident is going to be different. I know the insurance companies often look to the amount of property damage that's involved. That is one of their factors that they consider. The extent of the injuries is another factor that the insurance companies will consider. Another important part is the liability aspect. Now, if it's a rear end accident, obviously the insurance company is going to place 100% fault on the person who rear-ended you. Now, if you had some contributing action, that's obviously going to limit the value of your case. But it's important to also point out that what a case is worth is distinct from what you may actually recover from a case.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah, and you know, you see it all the time where we've got lawyers out there that are saying so-and-so got me $500,000 or $1 million. That you have to be really cautious about, and it's completely worthless, because the fact that there was a recovery for X number of dollars doesn't mean that that lawyer necessarily got what the case was worth. You know, there may have been $1 million policy and the case was worth $1 million, but if he or she only got $500,000 for the client, well, they just got shortchanged $500,000. So, and there also may be limits as to how much of an insurance policy is available, right? I mean,
exactly. Conversely, you may have a case that may be worth $1 million, but there might only be $10,000, $20,000, or even $0 worth of coverage.
Zero. That's exactly right. So there are a lot of variables that you have to consider in weighing how much a case is worth.
And I think when you talk about injuries, it's important to note that your prior history is important. So when you're going to a doctor, you need to be truthful to them about what prior history you have, because so many times their client's prior history comes into play and
don't conceal anything. Yeah, you should not be concealing anything, because guess what? They will find out exactly what your medical history is all about. So even if it's a forgetful thing, they'll find out, and then it'll make it seem like you have lied, and now it's going to cost you dearly, because that's going to limit your recovery.
Like we always say, the more we have to explain, the worse our case gets.
Yeah.
So make sure that the doctor is aware of your prior history, that the lawyer is aware of your prior history. That's our job to determine how it affects your case and how we can spin any prior history and determine if there is a new injury or if it was exacerbated. You're still entitled to recover even if you had an old injury.
Yeah.
Now the problem becomes you not explaining to the doctor the old injury, and the doctor may have changed his treatment plan had you explained fully the type of injuries that you may have had in the past. So really that does affect and negatively affect many clients' cases if they were just truthful and explain that to the doctor.
Absolutely. And also, obviously that goes, the amount of treatment also translates into what your medical bills are. A case that only has $10,000 worth of medical bills versus a case that has $100,000 worth of medical bills. Obviously, a case with $100,000 generally should be worth more, depending on liability and depending on all kinds of other factors. But you know, it's safe to say that if you've got $100,000 in outstanding medical bills, and there's $100,000 worth of a policy, you know, we at least are out there to get it.